Good morning, everyone. Welcome into the broadcast here for Align with Your Purpose. I'm your host, Earl Hall, broadcasting live as always, Monday through Friday, 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central, 7:30 on the West Coast, right here on Conversations Radio Network, as well as live on my Instagram feed as well. Make sure you do check me out over on Instagram. Just follow me there at Align with Your Purpose. I'm super excited about today's show because I'm going to get into some of the nuts and bolts about what it's going to take for you to build your business, for you to align with your purpose. I want to make sure too that you do check out the website, www.alignwithyourpurpose.co. That's alignwithyourpurpose.co. I came into my studio this morning, and I'm telling you, for the last hour, I've been fumbling around trying to figure out a new setup that I want to have here. So I'm using a new microphone. I set up my Windows station along with my Mac station. I got some new gear coming in, but all of this is for what I do here in Earl Hall Studio. And, some of you may know I'm a voice actor, I'm a voice coach, I'm a business development coach. I do a lot of production right here out of this studio. So there's a lot of wires, I've got a vocal booth, there's all this stuff. You guys can see some of this when you tune in live on my Instagram feed when I do a live show there. So thanks everyone for watching me right now on Instagram. Hey, how you doing? But look, today's show is going to be all about, do you need to start a podcast for your business? Is a podcast something that you need to start in order to gain some traction, gain a tribe, gain a following? People can start to know, like, and trust you because of the content you're putting out. So obviously, if I'm asking the question, do you need or should you start a podcast for your business? In most cases, the answer is yes. You need to start a podcast for your business. And it's the thing about it is, and even as I say podcast, I can see some of you in trepidation over just the thought of starting a podcast or doing something outside of the norm from what you normally do. And it might seem daunting, it might seem overwhelming, but let me just tell you, this is super easy to do. Starting a podcast for your business, for what it is that I don't care what the product is, I don't care what the service is. When you have a podcast and when you're doing something, and I'm going to talk today specifically about audio, how you're going to do this on audio. Because I know some people are scared to get behind the camera and they're scared to press that record button because they're wondering about, well, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? Well, having a strictly audio podcast takes away a lot of that fear. It takes away a lot of that trepidation when you're able to do this and able to do it in an appropriate manner. This is an audio podcast, but I've got the video portion going on because I'm doing a live stream on Instagram. Hey, Sylvia, I see you there. How you doing? Thanks for joining in over on Instagram. Again, if you're not following me on Instagram, you want to make sure that you do. It's at Align with Your Purpose. So let's get into some of the logistics behind what you're going to need to start an audio podcast. So many people that have businesses or they're trying to start businesses or sell a product or service, they always wonder about marketing. They always wonder about, well, how is it that I can sell this? What is it that I can do to get more clients, to make more sales? The thing in the age that we live in is all about producing content. When you think about just 10 years ago, to do what I'm doing right now, I'm doing a live show on a radio station. I'm doing a live video broadcast. You may as well say I've got a television station right here on Instagram. You could not do these things 10 years ago, and now you've got these things literally in the palm of your hand to be able to do. And when you do them on a consistent basis, it's going to make a difference. It's the reason why I do a live broadcast Monday through Friday. It's so that people can understand who it is that I am, what it is that I can show them, how it is that I can teach them, and it's a way for people to get to basically know, like, and trust me, so that when I offer something like a course or a class or consulting, they can already see that I have a deep understanding of what it is that I'm talking about. So an audio podcast is probably the simplest thing to do. I want to give you a web address right now because there's something I want to just get into your hands, if you're thinking about starting an audio podcast, I'm going to tell you where you should do it. I'm going to tell you the software you need to have to do it. And I'm going to show you the gear you should have to do it. Now, write down this web address, and I'm going to put this in the notes of the podcast, but it's basically my Amazon store. It's amazon.com/shop/Earl Hall Studio. Once again, it's amazon.com/shop/Earl Hall Studio. Earl Hall Studio is all one word, so don't worry about it. Go to that website. The very first thing that I have in my store is a piece of gear. And all this is a microphone, a pop filter, and a stand to hold your microphone. If you're watching me on Instagram right now, you can kind of see that same style of microphone holder that I'm using. It's called a scissor boom, and so you can move it in and out of your way as much as you want, with that. So it's the very first thing that's in my Amazon store, and it's near to my heart because it is actually the very first microphone I ever bought over a decade ago to get into doing what it is that I do now with producing content, even being a voice actor, doing YouTube, all that kind of stuff. You need to have a microphone. Excuse me. One of the things I hate to hear, have you ever been on a webinar or something like that, or watched a live stream and the sound just is not that great because they're using the microphone that's attached to their webcam most times? Even the sound that you're hearing right here on Instagram isn't as good as you could be hearing it because I'm just using the microphone from the phone that I'm using, which is an iPhone 10. So it may sound awesome, I don't know. But I know it doesn't sound as good as what's being heard on the radio station. So when you are doing something, whether you're producing a course or a class or doing a live stream or whatever it is, especially on Facebook or on YouTube or creating YouTube videos or absolutely to create an audio podcast, you want to have a decent microphone to use. So I've got the very first thing that's in my store. Once again, it's at amazon.com/shop/Earl Hall Studio. It's a microphone with a pop filter. And let me explain, because some of you guys don't understand the logistics or the stuff behind all of this when I say things like a pop filter. What a pop filter is for is, we call it in the audio industry, especially in the voiceover industry, popping your P's. And that's when someone says a P sound or a T sound or anything that causes air to be expelled from your mouth because of how it's positioned. And when you say a P sound, you're expressing air that's coming out. And what happens is that air hits that microphone and it sounds weird or it sounds off. And so we use pop filters in front of our microphones so that that air doesn't pass through. So now when you're trying to develop a podcast, an audio podcast, you want your audio to sound really, really good. And the microphone that I suggested in my Amazon store, it's a USB mic. It's going to plug right into your PC or your Mac. It doesn't matter. It's going to plug right in and you're going to have amazing sound. You're actually going to be surprised at how good you sound using this microphone, especially if you have never used a microphone before. You can also get yourself some headphones to plug in that, basically you're going to sound amazing. The very first thing you want to be aware of is your sound when you're doing an audio podcast, because if you don't sound good, people will normally tune out. And the thing about, especially if you're producing video, it seems people will forgive bad video, but they won't forgive bad audio. That's not the norm. So you want to make sure that your audio, when you're doing a podcast, sounds good. So now, what I want to get into, especially when we come right back from the break, I'm going to get into the software you should have, which is free. I'm going to tell you the best place you can go to start your podcast, and I'm going to give you some more information about how I can help. I'm going to take a short break right here, right now, but we're going to be back in just a few moments. So keep it locked right here. You're tuned into Align with Your Purpose, and I'm your host, Earl Hall. Get the book Align with Your Purpose by Earl Hall. Find and walk in your purpose. Get the answers to your questions about life,
and how to make it exactly what you want are in this book. This is your chance to stop living in a life you hate. Discover how to manifest the life you actually want. Get Aligned with Your Purpose now on Amazon, paperback, Kindle, or audiobook. What if you could stop all of your negative thoughts and your self-limiting beliefs and actually start to manifest the life that you want? You need Quantum Neural Manifestation Alignment, or QNMA. This is the ultimate accumulation of the best of The Secret, as well as the incredible magic of meditation and hypnosis, all wrapped up in one. Go to the website now, officialqnma.com. That's officialqnma.com.
Thanks so much for keeping it locked right here on Align with Your Purpose. I'm your host, Earl Hall, broadcasting live right here on Conversations Radio Network, as well as on my Instagram feed. Make sure that you do follow me on Instagram at Align with Your Purpose. Would love to connect with you there. Even here, and you can watch my live streams Monday through Friday here on Instagram, as well as on Conversations Radio Network, 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central, 7:30 on the West Coast. All right, so today we're talking about, should you start a podcast? By now, if you've been listening, you know the answer is yes. It is something that's going to be able to position you as an authority, and that's what you want to be positioned as. Because no matter what it is that you're selling, what the product or service is, if you're looking to grow a following, build a tribe, which is extremely important, the only way that you're going to do that is to position yourself as an authority so that people know that you know what you're talking about. There is no other way around this. We're in the age now. This is it. I said before, it is so amazing to me that we're in an age where you can have a live radio broadcast like I'm doing right now. You can have a television show, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. These things you could not do 10 years ago. I'm doing all of this at no cost, but I'm getting to potential customers and clients by doing this. This is what I mean by why you need to have a podcast. Probably tomorrow or later in the week, I'm going to talk about video podcasting, doing video blogs, creating your own shows live on video, or just producing video content that you record that you can put out on different platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and things of that nature. Today, we're focusing in on producing an audio podcast, which is less scary, I think, for most people than to actually get on camera. So I want to go through a couple of things. I've already gone through the why you need to do this. Now let's get into the how. I even explained initially, there's a piece of gear right in my Amazon store. Go there right now. It's amazon.com/shop/Earl Hall Studio. The very first item in my store is the piece of equipment I think is going to be amazing for you to start your podcast with. It's a simple but very powerful and amazing sounding USB microphone. It comes with a pop filter and it comes with a stand that you just clip onto the side of your desk. It is amazing. And as I said, it's the very first mic I ever bought. It was a little over a decade ago, but I still use it. When I've got to do something quick and I'm at home, I'll plug this same microphone into my laptop and I'll do what I need to do. So it's an amazing piece of gear. Go grab it. It's at amazon.com/shop/Earl Hall Studio. And you can get that right out of my Amazon store. So let's get into the where you should produce your podcast. My favorite platform is called Anchor.fm. That is my favorite platform. You go there, it's free. There's nothing you have to pay. But here's the thing. When you set up your podcast on Anchor.fm, it's ANCHOR.fm. That's the web address, Anchor.fm. You set up your account, and basically, you create an audio file, you create your whole show, and you put it up there. You just upload it. Here's the thing about that. When you upload your show using Anchor, what happens is Anchor distributes that all over the place. You're going to be on iTunes. You're going to be on Google. You're going to be on Apple. It's like 10, 12 different places. It's going to distribute that podcast to in order to help you grow your audience. That's what's going to happen. So now, okay, Earl, great. You've told me the why. You've told me where I should put my podcast. How the heck do I record this stuff? Here's the good news. Go to Google and look up Audacity. Audacity is a free software that you can download to put together your show. It's just do a Google search for Audacity. It's absolutely free. It's what we call in the industry a DAW. It's a digital audio workstation. Big words just to mean this is how you're going to produce your show. And let me tell you how easy this is. For instance, you could make a file which is your intro. So you record your intro, or you can do an intro just like I do for this show. It's just music. There's no words. I just have music on there. So you could just find a nice music track if you want. Obviously, you can add words to that or whatever if you want to do that as well. And save that file. Now you go back and you do something like, hey, welcome to my show. Thank you so much for tuning in. And you go into your show. And then you record that whole 15, 20, 30-minute, hour, whatever show it is. Even if you do an interview style show, just record the show and then save that file. And then you tag on an ending like I do, which is just music. Once again, for this is how easy this is. So now you've got a music file, which you can use for your intro and your exit. And you have your main long file, which is your show that you just recorded. Now what you do in Audacity is you bring in all of those files. You bring in the music file for your intro, you bring in your spoken word file for your show, and then you also add on the end of that the audio for your ending, so it just goes out naturally. And what you do in Audacity is you start that music and on a track. It's like they're tracks. Let me say that. So you'll have 2 tracks. You'll have a track for your intro and your exit, and you'll have 1 track for your spoken word audio, which is your show. So on 1 track, you've got the audio for the intro, right? And then right beneath that, on the 2nd track, you put in your spoken word audio. And what you can do with the music is you can fade that music out as you start talking, so that it goes down and down and down, and then it's just out as you go out, or as you're coming on, just like you hear me do here. And then also, except I'm just doing it live. I'm doing it live. There's really no difference. And then at the end of that spoken word file, which is your show, you have that audio there again, that music, and you fade it up so that it goes and, it goes out appropriately. This is how simple it is to be able to produce a show that you can upload to Anchor, that you can upload to anywhere you want, to be able to show what it is that you know and how it is that you do what you do. And this is what I call marketing. It's selling without selling. You don't have to sell your product and service every time you go on air. People understand what it is that you do and what it is that you sell. You're giving them a web address, tell them to go. They're going to go to your website. They're going to see what you have to offer, whether you're an author and you have a book, whatever it is, you're going to be able to direct people just like I directed you to go to my store on Amazon. I gave you the website address, amazon.com/shop/Earl Hall Studio. And I told you there's a piece of gear that's there that I think you ought to get. And some of you will do this, but here's the thing about this. Most of you are not going to go there today, but guess what? This podcast that I'm going to put on Anchor is going to be there forever. And so this one show, or every show that you do, every podcast you do, is it's a potential for sales for as long as you have it up there. People are going to listen to your show for years. They're going to discover your show for years on different places like iTunes and Google Play. There's a whole host of different places where your podcast is going to be just by using Anchor.fm. It's magical. It really is. I'm hoping that, I've given you a lot of information to think about here. But whether or not you need to start an actual podcast, The answer is yes. On tomorrow, I'm going to get into those of you that want to understand video podcasting and how to do that. We're going to get into that on tomorrow. So look, I want to thank you so much for being here with me today, for tuning into the show. This has been fun. I love talking about audio. I love talking about this because this is my life, really. So make sure you visit the website, alignwithyourpurpose.co. Also, make sure you visit my Amazon store at amazon.com/shop/Earl Hall Studio. I'm going to be here tomorrow with you. Thanks so much for Conversations Radio Network. If you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you do that at Align With Your Purpose. Have a great day.